class, everybody. I think I've got all the words on the board there. Excellent. It's another vocabulary class. These are actually words that I just took randomly from one of the students. I send all my students feedback at the end of the class, which is a list of mistakes and a list of new words, and that's where these words have come from. They've actually just come from Alex's feedbacks. It's only from him, but every student gets some of this, and so if you do want to sign up for online classes, please get in touch. But you can support me by buying my book. You can go to Amazon, Visual Phrasal Verbs, and buy the book. Hi Lolly Lolly, good to see you as always. I notice you're always here and that's great. And you can also go to my website and buy a PDF which is colour of the same book, but this book's black and white physical copy, and it's colour as a PDF, and it comes with hyperlinks. So hello to France. So yeah, we're just dealing with words, and let's start with perhaps not the nicest of word, but it depends on your tastes. Smut, filth, profanity, vulgarity. Smut is actually a noun, just like filth is actually a noun. And hello Zhenya from St. Pete. I remember teaching you very recently, and I was very pleased to see that you passed your IELTS. That was fantastic. And thank you for passing my details on to another doctor. I appreciate it. Yeah, smut or filth, it usually refers to pornography or something like that. You know, something dirty. Dirty in the sense of sexually perverse, in that sense. So smut or filth, it's usually pornography, but it could be anything which is considered perverse and profane and vulgar. Remember these two words as well, profane language, vulgar language. We use that for when, for example, somebody's swearing, somebody's using bad language, profane language, vulgar language. So there's some good adjectives there as well. But it was smut that was in the show. It was from the TV show Phrasal. And so hello to China as well. Yeah, smut just often refers to pornography. Okay, if a business decides to cut corners, this is usually negative, although it does mean to make savings, to economise by perhaps paying less money for something. But it has this idea that you pay less money and you get lower quality. And I think we all know this is certainly the case in real life. Very often you pay less money and you think that you're getting a good deal because you're paying less money, but you get lower quality. And so when businesses cut corners, it's very often negative because they start providing a lower quality service. The service is worse in some way. So yeah, it's not usually a good word to cut corners, or not usually a positive expression, but it does mean to save money in some way. So I think that's clear. Now, fizzle out, it's definitely in the book, guys, so please do get this book if you want to know any of these phrasal verbs, because all of them are there. Now, we often talk about something fizzling out when it gets less and less exciting, and in the end it's quite disappointing. So a party can fizzle out at about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, and it just means that everybody has gone home, it's quietened down, and the party's fizzled out. But your enthusiasm can fizzle out, meaning that it gets less and less and less until it's gone. And a firework could fizzle out if it's really disappointing. Yeah, you're expecting something exciting, but it just fizzles out and doesn't really make a loud bang and doesn't create an impressive display. But I want you to remember peter out and fade out, because when something peters out or fades out, it also slowly disappears. And so I think that these two are fairly similar, not the same, but fairly similar. And again, you can say my enthusiasm petered out, my enthusiasm faded out. Petered out would be better, or fizzled out, I think, with enthusiasm. But you can even say the trail of footprints in the snow petered out or faded out as they went further. Okay, and also remember, a voice can trail off, which means get quieter, or something can taper off, which can mean get thinner and thinner and thinner until it disappears. But it can also just mean Sales. Do speak slowly, guys, by the way, because speaking slowly is how you speak well. Sales can taper off, which means that they gradually diminish. They gradually get smaller. If something fades away, I mean, if the pattern on your t-shirt fades away over time, it means it disappears slowly over time. Yeah, I'm only trying to go fast because I know I've got a student pretty soon. But generally speaking, I want you all to slow down your speech. I'm a firm believer that if you speak slowly, you speak much better, and you can think about the next sentence and not just let out your emotions in a tornado, which nobody really clearly understands. So do try to slow down your speech. I think sometimes I speak too quickly. Now, if you doll yourself up, you're usually a girl, so I'll put a G here, or a woman. It's for females. And if you spruce yourself up, you're usually a boy. It's for males. But it means try to look better, try to look great, try to look more attractive. So when you doll yourself up, it's usually for a party or a wedding or something like that, and you spruce yourself up for a nightclub, something like that. If you do something up, you decorate it, but it also means to tie up, do up your shoes, do up your coat. So it does mean that as well. But if you do up your flat or you do up your room, you decorate it. And if you jazz something up, you make it more exciting. They're all in the phrasal verbs book. If something gives you the creeps, or somebody gives you the creeps, it means they scare you or freak you out a little bit. And there's another good phrasal verb, freak somebody out. They freak you out a little bit, they scare you, they make you nervous in some kind of way. And yeah, they're a bit scary. Creepy is like scary. Okay, if somebody brags or boasts about something, they're telling everybody about it so that they look great. Yeah, they want everybody to know about it because they think it makes themselves look better. So they brag about their success, or they boast about their sexual conquests, maybe, if they're that kind of person and they want everybody to know who they're sleeping with. They will brag about how many people they've slept with. And this would perhaps be something that a compulsive womanizer does. So a compulsive womanizer is a guy who likes to be with as many girls as possible, a promiscuous guy, and likes to boast about it as well, likes to seduce women. If you duck out of something, then you decide not to do it, and usually it means leave something quietly in some kind of way. So it's very similar to sneak out of something. You can sneak out of a meeting and you can duck out of a meeting. I think duck out of is a little bit closer to get out of something, in the sense of when you get out of something, you avoid a responsibility. Yeah, you can get out of a meeting and you can duck out of a meeting, meaning avoid that meeting because you don't want to go. So avoid a duty is get out of, and duck out of something is very often avoid that duty. Now, if someone is superficial, very often we use this just to mean they're not serious in some kind of way. They're not a serious person. But superficial does mean only true on the surface. And so you can talk about superficial injuries, and that will be injuries just on the surface, just on the skin, but no major trauma underneath. Now, if you say that something is rooted in, or stems from, or comes down to, you're explaining the cause of that something. So you might say, and I know you're going to get bored of this example, global warming is rooted in carbon dioxide production, or stems from carbon dioxide production, or comes down to carbon dioxide production. And all of them are exactly the same. They're used for causes, for saying that, you know, X is rooted in Y. In other words, X causes Y. Yeah, that's all it means. So X stems from Y. X comes down to Y. And remember, put something down to as well when you ascribe a cause, because that's useful. Now, if somebody is feeling frantic or distraught or panic-stricken, this just means that they're panicking, yeah? So it's not very positive, it's negative. You're panicking when you're frantic. You're in a bad state of mind, and you're perhaps very anxious, yeah? That's the idea, that there's a lot of anxiety there when you're frantic, distraught and panic-stricken. And it's very often when you have too much on your plate. If you have too much on your plate, you have too much to do. Your life is too hectic, yeah, too much on your plate. Too busy, too hectic is very often when you're frantic. Now, your limbs are your arms and legs, that's all. It's it's more like a medical term for arms and legs, your limbs, okay? If you are ticked off, you are cross. This is quite informal expression to be ticked off. But you're basically a little bit cross when you're ticked off. Just went to go and get my coffee. So you're just a little bit cross if you're ticked off. Now, if you are impressionable, and I think young people are usually impressionable, they are easily led. Yeah, that's the idea, that they're pretty easy to maybe even trick, but they're very trusting, they're rather gullible. It's another good word to remember, gullible. Similar to impressionable. Gullible means somebody is too trusting. They're too trusting. They'll believe anything you say. You say that you saw an alien last night, they'll believe you. But yeah, teenagers are impressionable. They're easily led, and this means that, and adults actually, adults are very impressionable as well and easily led, but this means that they often do things just to impress other people, and that's all. Pore over means examine a document carefully. So I hope that you will all buy this book and pore over the phrasal verbs inside. I think this phrasal verb is even on the back of the book somewhere. But yeah, I guarantee that phrasal verb's certainly in this book. The aisle is any kind of, it's not a corridor, but it's similar. It's any kind of passageway between two rows of something. So you get an aisle in a supermarket. Yeah, the aisles are the passageways between shelves that are stocked with food, hopefully. And you get aisle in church as well. The aisle is the passageway between the chairs, yeah? So it's not a corridor, because corridors have walls on both sides, but aisles have maybe shelves filled with goods, or maybe chairs. So you get an aisle on an airplane as well. On an airplane they say, would you like a window seat or an aisle seat? And if you want an aisle seat, you want to be right next to the passageway so that you can go to the toilet very easily. You don't have to climb over other people. So if you take somebody down the aisle, usually this means you get married. Yeah, it means you've popped the question, she has said yes, and you take her down the aisle, meaning, or walk her down the aisle, meaning that you've got married. Okay? If you say knock yourself out, this means do anything you want, do whatever you want, and you just use it as an imperative, yeah? Knock yourself out. Fraser said it in the show, I believe. I can't remember why or who to, but he meant do whatever you want. I really don't mind, yeah? Anything that you like. Knock yourself out. Make yourself happy. Please yourself is a very similar one. Perils are dangers, and so perilous is dangerous. Simple as that. The glint in somebody's eye is the brightness or the shining or the burning in somebody's eye. But we usually talk about a glint in somebody's eye when there's some feeling or emotion, or maybe even the knowledge of something which is visible in their eye, and it's like a brightness in their eye. You can also say his eyes were glinting with pride. His eyes were glinting with joy. Yeah, this one's really quite common. And if you say a glint of, you can say a glint of pride, a glint of joy, a glint of mischief even. And it just means that little burning enthusiasm, really, very often enthusiasm, but it could be other emotions that you can see in somebody's eye. Now, if somebody dotes on somebody else, they really love them and they do everything for that person. And so to dote on somebody means to do everything so that you fulfill all of their whims, all of their desires. You're helping them in every single way. And this is why it could be negative. It could be an excessive love for somebody, but it doesn't have to be. So you might dote on your children or dote on your grandchildren. You're ready to buy them anything, get them any present. You're ready to give them your time. Now, if you hanker for somebody or hanker after somebody or hanker for something or long for something or yearn for something, you really desire this thing. And it sounds like you're not quite getting it, but you really desire it. You're yearning for it. You're hankering after it. And so you really, really want it. Hopefully one day you'll get it, but it sounds like it's just out of reach to me when you're yearning for it or longing for it. It's not quite there. So when perhaps you're in love and you have a long distance relationship, that person goes abroad, you might hanker for that person or hanker after their attention or yearn for an email from them or long for a Skype chat, yeah, something like that. Okay, that's all for today, guys. I've got to go and teach a class, but please remember what I said about slowing down. Don't do what I do and just speed up and try to make your sentences as quickly try to make your sentences as quick as possible. There's nothing impressive about somebody who speaks incredibly quickly. It actually sounds much better when you slow down. And I have to remind myself about this all the time when I'm learning foreign languages, but also when I'm speaking English. I have to remember to slow down, because I can feel that the quality of the sentences, it improves, certainly. It gets much better when I slow down. So if anyone wants to support me, go on Amazon and buy visual phrasal verbs, or go to my website and buy this book. And I hope that I'll be able to support you then in your studies, and you'll be able to learn a lot of these phrasal verbs, and you'll see that you already know the phrasal verbs that I put on the board each time. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. Please click like. See you later, Zhenya. Very pleased to see that you were here. And I hope to see you all soon.